Welcome to DFL.
Yes.
Dying for Likes, Al Jackson, Sam Schacher. You can also catch us on DBL. So we got DFL and DBL. That was not a coincidence. It actually was.
It's just we're always thinking about it. Always.
But you can watch us at Daily Blast Live. Make sure you check your local listings because, Al, you can see us daily flexing our opinions. And we don't hold back.
No. And I think you can tell. I think the people that watch our show, they kind of are like us. They're like, they've seen enough TV where they know that somebody's saying something that is safe or something they're supposed to say, where they're like, I don't really have an opinion on that. I think both sides need to come to an agreement on how to deal with COVID. It's like, no, that's not an answer. That's not a thing. You're allowed to be wrong. Somebody's allowed to be mad at you. But like, you can't just say, hey, look, I think you can either wear a mask or not wear a mask. Well, that's not a thing.
No.
So speaking of things, Sam,
we also razz each other a lot on our show, like Al and I especially. But speaking
as a
of
black
things,
man, I don't use the word razz.
What do you use? Clown each other?
Yeah, in 1991, sure. Right after I got done listening to Tupac and my mom's Cutlass. What would you, back in the day? It was called Jonesin. It was called Rankin.
Joshin, remember Joshin or no?
Joshin was in for it. Didn't really hit the black community like they thought it would.
Okay,
but you know, it's like, maybe is it just Al was over there? Maybe it is clowning.
I think it would be.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
see, he came full circle. Thank you, folks. I know exactly what to do. Yes, Sam, talk to me.
Looks like you and the girls went to Vegas, which I was so happy about because honestly, here, we're going to pull the curtain back.
We always pull the curtain back. Yes.
Look, it's Sam, you work so hard to be obviously just the steward of our ship at DBL, which is enough. Like if you're just a single person, your day-to-day at DBL is enough. You also have two kids that you are, and they are COVID kids in that like, those formative years they're with mama, so they still need that mom. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? All roads run through mom, and you're a wife, and you have stuff going on the side. And I'm like, Sam, if you were like a 50-year-old guy in 1980 wearing suspenders, I'd be like, you're a candidate for a heart attack. Like, for real. I mean, you go so hard that it's I do go hard. We've had to have some conversations. So I was so happy
that I played hard.
That you played hard in Vegas. Just the texts on the way to the airport.
Oh my gosh.
Legendary. Those will be on the Instagram.
I fainted, folks.
Let's just, Sam, walk us through this really quick.
Okay, so first and foremost, I've not been to Vegas since before kids. I've not done a girls trip since before kids, and I have a almost 6-year-old and an almost 3-year-old. So 6+ years, 7 years. It's been a long time. And my co-hosts, again, watch Daily Blast Live, Erica Cobb and Tori Shulman, and then some other friends went to Vegas. And just on the way there, it could have been a skit, like in a movie or whatnot. I felt like, what was the really popular Vegas movie?
Oh, yeah. What's it?
Hello?
With Zach.
With Zach Galifianakis.
Zach Galifianakis, and it was called... Not Leaving Las Vegas.
Bachelor, no.
We're not gonna stop the pod until we get this. No, we're gonna sit on air. We're not gonna edit this because we are 45-year-olds that don't need
speak for yourself. I'm 42, homie. Oh, okay. You're 45. Thank you very much.
The Hangover.
Thank you very much.
Happens when you use your mind?
Yes.
While you're fumbling for your phone like a scared woman on the train. Al's using the old noggin. So
speaking of the train, that's where I fainted.
Okay, so pick us up. You guys leave.
So we leave
Daily Blast Live Studios. I don't know what happened after.
We're ridiculous when we leave Daily Blast Live Studios. Like, we're all dressed.
And who is we?
Me, Erica, Tori, those are my co-hosts, and then 2 other people. I'm not going to say their names because they're not on camera, and maybe they don't want to be talked about. But
I think both of them would love to be talked about.
Both are producers.
Yeah.
So we decided to leave from the studio. We get a big SUV, and we're like jamming to like club music from when we used to club. Like, no joke, Eric and I both worked in the club industry, and we both were like, remember this song? Remember that song? And there was some hits on vape pens.
Okay.
And
as you do.
Yep. And I typically don't do that during the day. I'm made to go to sleep at night, but that's about it. I am a mom.
And to wake up in the morning.
Nope, I am a mom.
Okay.
And so just in the car, that alone was enough for me. And I don't know what happened, but I was on the train. I looked at Erica and I looked her right in the eyes. And I remember this woman in a hijab. And I'm saying that because I remember her and I connected eyes and I remember her being concerned.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember her kind eyes. And that's all I remember. And then I fainted
Oh, my
on the
goodness.
train. How
Wait, where
embarrassing.
were you seated? Were you standing?
No, I was standing and I fell. And Kelly Schubert had to drag me off the train, sat me down, and then within moments, I was fine. Within moments, Erica said I was probably out for about 3 solid seconds, which is terrifying. And then as I was coming to, a fan of DBL comes over and it's like,
Stop it.
didn't see me faint, thank God, because I think she would have said something or checked on me, but she was just like, I love DBL. And then she noticed Erica and then she noticed me. And I'm like, meanwhile, I'm like coming to. But that was the first time I've ever fainted in my life. It was terrifying. And I don't know if it was the vape or I had also I don't think I drank any water that day. Again, that's like a mom thing. I know that's
out of your character too. You're pretty good. Well, at least the iced teas, not water so much.
Right. No water that day. But then here's the kicker. And I'm always going to be forthright. And I'm very sensitive to COVID. That may have been my first symptom of COVID. I've never gotten COVID before until recently. I got COVID over the weekend in Vegas, but I did not really have any symptoms, but that fainting. But when I looked at, and then when I came back, but just to be safe for the kids, I took a test and I had COVID. And I feel terrible because yes, I wore a mask while I was traveling, but in the casino, I did not. I'm always going to be forthright, but I had no symptoms.
Right.
No symptoms.
You felt great the whole trip?
The whole trip.
Well, I mean, in a weird way, it's good.
I was pretty asymptomatic. I'm glad we had a good time too. We went clubbing. Yes. And Mama Sam turned it out because I used to work in the club and Mama Sam has a lot of club contacts still. And we had like VIP service at the club, VIP service at hot restaurants. And for some reason that made me very proud.
It should. I was super proud because here's what happened. When I heard, not even about the fainting and everything, that was early on.
But that is a presenting symptom of COVID. If anybody else has, it could have been the dehydration, but if anybody else faints, that could be a presenting symptom of COVID. Go ahead.
Or you're a Black woman in church. No, honestly, I was ready to make some jokes and everything, but I talked to somebody who's on the trip who we have not named. Shout out Jeray. And he said,
our makeup artist.
You laid it out because I really, because Sam was like, don't worry, I'm going to hook it up. Vegas is going to be good. But what I said at the top of the podcast is true. You're a mom. You're here at DBL. You're looking at stories about, an impending hurricane headed towards Florida. I'm like, how does she still have the connections in Vegas? But I heard you laid that out like you were Sammy Davis Jr. in 81.
Yep.
So let me give you some on the pod. Shout out to you for that. And at the end of the day, it wrapped up with a nice bow. You had a good vacation. And then what I say, you had a nice, necessary, almost forced upon you vacation with the COVID, because I feel like in a weird way, COVID's different, but a lot of times when you get sick with the flu, it's your body's way of saying you need to sit your ass down.
Right.
And you're not going to sleep and you're not going to drink water and you're not going to hydrate and feed yourself. So we're going to do this. So now you're in the bed, Doug. So, maybe that was your body's way of saying, hey, we need to stop and chill for a second.
I think you're right.
So you needed it.
You're right.
We're getting ready for the big run and the fall and everything. So it's a good time to regenerate. You feel good?
I feel great.
You ready to get into the show today?
Oh my gosh, this is a really crazy episode, you guys. This is a crazy episode because we forget that certain videos naturally go viral. Storm Chasers is one of them.
Yes.
So unfortunately, you get a lot of young people out there who are charmed and enticed by the almost instantaneous viral success of one of their tornado videos going viral. And that's very enticing to somebody that wants to achieve that level of fame, right?
Absolutely.
So,
don't forget, it compounds on top of the fact that they were storm chasers pre-internet. So there's already that high that they get. Let's be honest, it's an adrenaline rush chasing a tornado. It is. So then on top of that, you get to get that adrenaline rush and you get to be famous on top of that.
Right.
I could see it. It's not my thing, but I could see it.
And add to that these 3 students were meteorologist students. So they really did passionately love storms and storm chasing. They were part of a national group. There's a lot of different, we know on social media, which I do think fuels this even more, these subgroups. So different subcultures on social media that are obsessed with fame or obsessed with Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians, or obsessed with storm chasing.
Right.
And these 3 students,
you're neglecting the part of social media that's upset, that Black men that are obsessed with curvy women. That's part of it too.
Or feet.
Yes, that's a whole corner. Yeah,
that's a thing. Okay, so these are 3 students. This happened in April of 2022. This is very recent and very sensitive. And again, I want to say, if you're a meteorologist student, this is in your blood. You love this. And these 3 students bonded over their love of storm chasing. So they weren't novices by any means. They weren't some rando in their basement being like, oh my gosh, I hear there's a tornado in Kansas. Let's go from Oklahoma to Kansas, try and capture it and become famous. It wasn't so simple, even though there has been incidents that simple.
Right.
So in this one, we have 3 students. Nicholas Nair, he was 20. He was from Denton, Texas. We have Gavin Short, 19, Grays Lake, Illinois, and Drake Brooks, 22, of Evansville, Indiana, all at the University of Oklahoma, all studying meteorology, and all part of this vast national group that had this subculture on social media.
And also, really quickly, think about the places that all those people are from, the Midwest. I'm from Ohio. There's tornadoes there. And as a young kid, I was terrified, but I could see how it could go the other way, where these scary things, you become obsessed with them. And as you grow up, you're like, these tornadoes have been hitting my neighborhood, my community, my area. I want to learn more about them. So I think that where they're from makes a big difference. I agree
with you. I've never experienced a tornado. I'm from California. So if someone were to talk to me about earthquakes, I would be able to share something about that. So that's a really interesting point. Really heart-wrenching fatal collision. Because again, sometimes we talk on this podcast about the stupidity of how social media and viral and fame motivates people. In this situation, there is some of that because of the fact that they were live tweeting these videos so they started in Oklahoma. They went over to Kansas, where there is a huge storm, heavy rains, driving alone with tweeting. I mean, I get it. If you're a storm chaser, you're going to be recording. You're going to do it live because you want, unfortunately, in today's day and age, it's like the first one to tweet the footage of that tornado is the first one that's going to go viral and is going to have that clout. And if you're a meteorologist student, this is your brand. So I do think this is a little bit different because their whole bread and butter, so to speak, their passion is all intertwined with being a meteorologist student, chasing storms. And you do want to be the first, if you're going to be a storm chaser, to post it.
It's clout behind your name. So when you are no longer a young up and coming meteorologist, but a meteorologist, it has a lot of weight when you walk into a news studio and you say, hey, I want to be a meteorologist. And they say, hey, get in line behind the other 50 people. And you go, hey, I have 2 million subscribers and 11 million followers. And whenever I tweet, it gets this many. Yeah. It's almost like a business decision that they're making in a weird way.
It's very true. So again, this is super different than most of the episodes that we talk about. But these 3 students, all in their 20s, in fact, one of them was 19. Just imagine, they're driving, they're excited. They had already captured footage of this storm in Kansas. They were on their way home to Oklahoma when they were on the interstate. And a lot of people were already following what they were doing because they were live tweeting the storm. And what had happened was, with the heavy rains, they hydroplaned off the highway. They left the highway, according to eyewitnesses, got back on the highway only to be hit by a semi.
Oh, I did not see that coming. Full disclosure, Sam and I we discussed the overall case, but not the details, because I want to, just like you guys, follow along. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting, I'm sure they weren't either. I mean, it's just, because for all the things we just listed, completely understandable. These weren't just like, every time there's a hurricane coming, you would know this, there's guys surfing, and we get upset with them on the show because we're like, you know what? Your dad or my mom has to go out there in the middle of the ocean in an orange helicopter and go get them, because they were trying to be silly and goofy. This is almost like the footage we do have of tornadoes and of hurricanes and what to do in these situations are brought to us by these people. Yeah. So yes, they were looking for clout, but also this is a part of our society and it's a natural disaster that people are interested in. So
and it's their profession.
Right.
I get it. They're just studying it, but it's their profession. And I do want to say that because I want to give them their utmost respect. They died what they loved doing.
Right.
Every single one of them wanted to do this for a living. They had already done it multiple times in their life, and they were supported, which I do think is interesting. When you talk about subcultures on social media, that support, it emboldens you.
Yes.
Right? It normalizes what you're doing. Do they every time, I can't go in their mind, but every time do they go in the car and they storm chase, do they really look at the risk versus reward? I don't know, especially when you're in your early 20s. Your
What is
prefrontal
risk
cortex.
when you're
Right,
19?
exactly.
What is that?
Exactly.
You feel like Superman or Superwoman or super person.
It's true.
Like you can't. I didn't even know what risk was. I was like, yeah, we'll swing off of that. We'll jump across that building. It's like now it's like I don't even want to discuss anything dangerous.
Dude, there is pause. There was a time on Sunset Boulevard, and I may have said this on this podcast. And if I did, please, I apologize. My husband calls me Sam the Repeater Schacher.
That's all right.
Because I repeat
That's
things.
all right.
But there was one time where there was a building being built on Sunset Boulevard, and it was just, what do you call it? Like the scaffolding or what do you call that?
Scaffolding?
It was just like pipes.
Right, yes.
And
thing that's
frames.
around every building in New York City.
It was just pipes and frames, and it was tall. And I was probably 20 years old, if that, and we were throwing eggs only at the fancy cars. I know, on Sunset Boulevard. This was like, I mean, we were all broke, living in like dirt apartments, barely could afford. I didn't even have a car. I rode the bus to like go to like work every day. And we were broke, and we were like, I guess, annoyed at a lot of the douches that we would see on the Sunset Strip.
Yes, you were hating.
And we were hating.
Yeah, hating
and
hard.
So we would target like the convertible Ferraris, and we would throw way up on top of like this building onto the Sunset Strip eggs. This is terrible at these like convertible Ferraris.
You were Lee Harvey Oswalding it.
Horrible.
At these. Okay.
So listen, so one of the cars came and somehow spotted us. Because, you know, when you are on the Sunset Strip at 11 o'clock at night, you're not going very fast.
Right.
You're cruising.
Yeah.
You can see around where you're being hit from. So they got out of the car. And
Wait, how many eggs are we talking about? Is it one strategic egg, or is everybody throwing eggs?
No, probably one or two strategic eggs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, but they got hit, man. And this was, I don't remember if this was a Porsche or a Lamborghini. It was one of those. And the dudes did look like douches. That's how I justified it in my head. But it's not okay. It's wrong. We could have hurt someone. We could have been on like a Dying for Likes podcast.
Absolutely.
And my point though about being invincible is not only did they start to follow us, but then we went up into like the higher floors of just like pipes. And I mean like tightrope walked it. Like
really?
If any one of us to get out of that building to escape these guys that we illegally like harassed and threw things at, we were like stories upon stories upon stories high, like tightrope walking over the Sunset Strip. And I still think about that day, one misstep, and any one of us would have fallen to our death, or if they would have caught us, what would they have done to us? Right. I mean, who knows? It was stupid.
It kind of reminds me of the story we did with the young women trying to go viral on top of the train, and the young woman, you know, but it's like, I also think that you were setting your family up to have to give the world's most awkward eulogy, you know, like here lies Sam. She died hating hard, throwing things at her betters. Yeah, so I'm glad you matured and you're here.
So my whole point was, you feel like you're invincible at 19. I certainly did. Okay. So these three kids, they're not kids, they're young adults. These three young adults, it took the fire department nearly 5.5 hours to remove them from the car. They were dead on the scene. But to think that the wreckage was so severe that it took paramedics 5.5 hours to remove the bodies is heart-wrenching. They were flooded with thoughts, prayers, of course, but also tributes to them. How many people, they were so beloved, not only in their community at their school, but they were beloved in their own communities and that big Facebook community of storm watchers. In fact, a lot of people thought that they would have been the future. Wow. And you look at I looked at pictures of them, and you saw the life. Like, some kids lived their lives. They knew what they wanted to do with their life. You could tell that they loved what they were doing, because the pictures that I saw were the pictures of them like in the car storm chasing, and they lit up. So I will say this, they did die doing what they love. It's a horrific ending to a story. They all should be alive. They all should be able to be doing what they love to do. But again, these are three kids or young adults who knew exactly what they wanted out of life. And I don't equate this as some of our other episodes of people just doing stupid things for reasons of just clout chasing.
Right. This could almost fall into just like an unfortunate hazard of dangerous jobs.
Right.
I mean, how I think they said, because there was always that whole thing about people saying being a police officer is hard, and some people say that, and they ranked all the the most dangerous jobs, and I the one that was there that I thought would be there was the guys that repair like telephone wire.
Oh my gosh.
Because now it's scary during the day when there's a downed power wire in 4 feet of water on your sidewalk. Somebody's got to come get that.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work out? I mean, if you mess up one time, people that defuse bombs, people
Right.
like it's a scary world out there, and people do dangerous jobs, and we appreciate them for that. So,
and I don't even know if those people love those jobs. To me, they may.
Right.
Those jobs to me seem like people that are doing it because they fell into it,
right.
or
it's good money.
It's good money.
Window washers that are on the 95th floor.
But
I don't think they like love that, but I'm sure
right.
it pays 9 times what a regular window washer would pay, maybe 50 times.
But if you're emboldened by your passion, like these 3 students were, you are going to push the limit.
Right.
But I don't think that there is a way to tamper that, in my opinion. So I just want to say that these 3, they are beloved. There's still tributes being poured into them. You can go look on their Facebook, any one of their Facebook accounts, which to me, you can choose to have your Instagram or your Facebook. What do you call that? Where it's like permanently,
like
memorialized. And so you can go to Nicholas Nair or Gavin Short or Drake Brooks, look at pictures of them, look at their storms, and see how much they were appreciated and loved. And our thoughts and prayers go out to their family members. I cannot imagine. I'm looking at their photo right now as we speak. Where any comedy shows coming up?
All my comedy shows I'm in the process of booking for 2023. So they'll all be on aljacksonlive.com, but make sure to purchase my book, Where is Baby Ford?
Yes!
It's a book that highlights the wonderful benefits that kids on the spectrum bring to the world. And I wrote it myself, and it was illustrated by an incredible guy at 9 News, where we work in
Denver, Colorado.
Yes, and people have been buying the book, which I can't believe, and I really appreciate it. 10% of all funds go to the Firefly School for Autism, whose benefit I'll be doing in April here in Denver.
Already?
Time is flying.
Wow.
Time is flying.
Because I go and I support Al and our co-host Tori Schulman when they
Yes.
host it, and they do such a fantastic job. And the benefit is, I mean, it's not just like some small benefit. It is one of Denver's premier charity events, and Al and Tori host it. If you're in the Denver area, look to get tickets. Go to
Firefly.org, Firefly School for Autism.org, and they'll have everything there. You come out, donate, eat, drink, hang out. It's at a beautiful place. It's at the Art Museum this year, which I'm excited. Never done that. So we'll see. But
and any comedy shows coming up?
No,
Al Jackson comedy,
just local.
Go? Okay.
Yeah, just go. I have local because I just recorded an hour in Chicago, so now I'm doing small shows to build up another hour. It never stops.
Never stops. And check out Daily Bus Live. Both Al and I are on Monday through Friday. And
where can we find you, Sam? We want to check you out.
Go to samschacher.com.
Yes.
I always have little tidbits on there.
I love your Instagram. It's fun.
Thank you.
It's
always the kids and everything else. So I said my website, not my Instagram, but that's okay. Al half listens to me.
Yeah, like any man. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.